Hey guys, today we're looking at this Sharp Handheld PC from the year 1998. It's a top of the line model, the 4500, old memories. And first of all, we'll have a look at the hardware, shall we? Here's our package. I was lucky enough to get a basically complete version of the German Gumtree. We can see the price. So in the US, this model cost $900 back then. Accounting for inflation, that's about the price of a top smartphone today. And we are also enticed with all the details here, especially the screen is a highlight. It is a color screen, 640 by 240. And the Microsoft Office applications are the other big thing. And when we open this beautiful package, what we can expect is, apart from the device, some manuals, a docking station, more about that later, and of course plenty of cables. So we have an AC adapter, and we have this giant knot. So on the one hand, this is a serial cable, and on the other hand, we also have a modem cable in case you wanted to go online in the year 1998. And lastly, we get some software with the machine. We have one CD by Sharp with Sharp applications for Windows. The other CD is by Microsoft. Already looks very important. This contains ActiveSync and other apps that we need for our Windows to connect to the machine. Here we have the unit. We have a Sharp logo on the top, and then on the bottom left we have a microphone. We have buttons for the audio recording. This button here will open the device. On the right edge we have a stylus to operate the touchscreen later. Here's a PC card extension slot. Currently there's a memory card reader, but also with my unit I got a modem card. It even came in this nifty little plastic thing. So in case you want to go online on the go with a whopping, what is it, 34,000 kilobit per second. If we go further, we see the chunky battery on the back, an infrared port to communicate with your phone, for example, also a charging indicator. And on this end we have the AC plug, as well as a special connector here. This is for a serial cable, so we can use the serial cable to hook this device up to our computer. Unfortunately, which computer these days have a serial port? On the bottom there's a bit more action, so we have a speaker here, as well as a battery and a memory board. So this battery here powers the device while this battery is removed. Let's say we want to switch the main battery. What we have to do is we have to set this switch to, this is replace backup battery, to this position. Now we can remove this bad boy here. So in this case now, the backup battery powers the device, and only after we attach a battery again and we set it to normal operation, we can actually use the device. Here's the battery pack, and you can imagine now after 20 years of service, these are usually not good anymore. So what happened with this unit is that the owner opened them with quite some force, and then he was kind enough to rebuild the battery pack. So we can see he stuffed these green cells into it, and well, they work better, but they're also a tiny bit bigger, which means this battery pack, it's a bit hard to get it into the device, but overall it works, and now we can still use this device like 20 years after its inception. Yeah, and underneath this compartment is the memory PCB. This is the PCB from a similar unit. We see we have the connector to the main board here on this end, as well as a controller chip, and then on the other side the memory chips. And my unit came with this clunky docking station. There's not too much action, it just has a connector for the device itself, as well as the option to charge another battery, and then an out port for the serial connector. And what I just noticed is that we actually cannot dock the handheld computer while the battery is installed, just because this rebuilt battery pack is too big. Also, it doesn't work. Yeah. Now we got it. Looks like this. Yeah, even more impractical now. Let's have a closer look at the inside. And open it here. And we see a full keyboard here. We see specialized buttons. So they are to start the Microsoft applications, as well as the inbox, contacts, calendar, tasks. We have a button here to make the screen dim and less dim, as well as an on-off switch. What I find quite funny, the spacebar. Why does the spacebar say spacebar? Is it not obvious enough? Yeah, well, maybe not. And here again the keyboard, we can now also see the reset key in case the unit fails, because, you know, it uses Windows. So next up, let's see if we can bring this thing back to life. Magic. Let's have a look at the software. So I press the on button and it switches on instantly. I find that absolutely remarkable for a device from the 90s. This is what it looks like for the very first time. There will be some initial setup. By the way, this is the German unit. At first comes the touchscreen calibration. I hit enter. It's actually really hard to press. There's no comparison to our smartphones and capacitive touchscreens. Time zone. So where are we? Berlin? Actually not. Brisbane. Oof. And with animation here. And with the phone code. January 1997. Yeah, close. Very close. What's this? So there's a second clock. An alarm clock. User-defined places. Okay, let's say okay. Yeah. Let's just say Bill Gates. By the way, I find this keyboard works really well. So I remember back then lots of people complained, and also the reviews pointed out the keyboard is not as good as other keyboards, especially like the HP Jornada. And that's true, the HP Jornada has a better one, but still this one is, I have absolutely no trouble typing here, very clicky. So we get some introduction about Pocket Outlook and ActiveSync, which will help us to transfer emails from and back our main computer. Windows CE is just like Windows on your desktop, and that's actually really cool. It is. This one here is not built on Windows 95. It's actually built on Windows 3.1. These devices, they have very, very little specs. So the processor, I'd have to look it up. I think it has like 13 megahertz. What can you do with this? Of course, they had to repurpose Windows 3.1, and they just added the taskbar. That's all the Windows experience on such a tiny, tiny screen. Instead of my computer, we have here my handheld PC with a browser, inbox, calendar, contacts, tasks, and then here on the right hand side, Microsoft Office applications. And in the later reincarnation in Windows, there was also a Pocket Access. Let's look at the Start menu. So we'll cycle a bit through this. We have our programs. ActiveSync, that's what we'll use to communicate with the computer. PC Direct Connection, I wonder what that is. Maybe through serial? But then again, ActiveSync is through the serial. The Office applications, we'll have an in-depth look in a second. Outlook. It came pre-installed with some Sharp applications, so what you can see here is an image editor, a sound recorder, a video player, and another file explorer. Games, arguably the most important category, solitaire. And finally, we also have a calculator and a wall clock. So let's have a look at Pocket Word first. I'll double tap, just like on a computer. And I love how they managed to cram so many things in such confined space. So at first we have here our file menu and the other menus. And then the toolbar, super tiny, just with the absolute most important buttons. Font. What fonts do we have? At least 5 fonts. Fonts and font size, and there even seems to be a help here. So let's just type something like, let's increase this here a bit. Different font. Yeah, very helpful in Greek. So then let's save this thing. My documents, call it document 1. Yeah, so far about Pocket Word. Yes, I want to save changes. And then we continue with Excel, my absolute favorite. Yeah, it takes a second to open. We can really see how everything is being drawn on the screen. And we'll just do something simple. Let's say we use this cell times 2. This cell times 2 is 2. What I'm really missing here is something to auto-complete the other cells. Huh? We can select if the cells contain numbers or currencies, text. Okay, we have AutoSum. So I have 1, 2 here. So AutoSum should yield 3 now. Okay, let's change the formatting here. I can't see bold anywhere. How can we do that? Also in the successor models, what they added luckily, what they added was that when you long tap somewhere, it's like a right click. So we could long tap here and then change the fonts. That's how it looks. Color, I'm still missing color. They thought of people who like color. Can we also make a currency out of it? Oh yeah. DM, so that is Deutschmark. So then let's save this document as well. Who knows, we might need it later. Sheet 1. Application, I can also minimize it like this. Or we also have this button here to go back to the desktop. So it looks like this. And then lastly, Pocket PowerPoint. Oh yeah, here we got it. There's our presentation. Yeah, so I think one of the ideas was that the busy businessman would go somewhere, bring the presentation on this handheld device, then hook it up to a VGA display, maybe a projector, and then he could show his presentation. But honestly, I'm not sure how many people have ever done that. There must also be a button somewhere to start the presentation. Ah yeah, it's this. It says no cheat sheet necessary. Yeah, not too many things to see here. Next up, we'll have a look at the other businessman's favorites, and that would be Outlook. Let's start with the inbox. So we have inbox, outbox, send and deleted. This device unfortunately only has serial, so I was not able to connect it to my PC. That's why there are no emails here, but we can just write one. I'll send one to Bill Gates. Here we're also not able to change the font, so it's obviously not an HTML email, it's just a simple text mail. I guess then this is everything what Bill can see. Options again. Okay, then let's send it off. This is the send button. So it's now, yeah, it's here in the outbox, not sent yet. We have more buttons. Unfortunately, I'm really missing the tooltip here. Ah, yeah, if I hold long. So this is reply, reply to all, forward, edit, that obviously is delete, and options again. Let's delete the thing. That was quick, not even confirmation dialog. Then next in line is the calendar. Should also look pretty empty. Okay, let's just create an event. Here I see here's New Year's Eve. We'll add an event. Okay, let's add an event on the 31st, 1996, and it goes till the next day. Say 6 a.m. So, and it's New Year's Eve. Alrighty. So it's complaining that this event is already in the past, but that is fine for me. Now we have a New Year's Eve party here, and it continues till here. Really, really nice with these arrows. It's well thought through, I must say. Actually, the calendar right now is better than what I expected. Here's some calendar options. We can print. That's quite funny. How does that work? Print options. And print. So where would it print? Of course here, infrared. How cool is that? We can even use infrared printer and serial printer. Okay, I'll just say yeah. It's probably searching for the infrared printer. Printer cannot be found. How sad is that? Then we have the last two applications, which is contacts and tasks. And let's just create one. So now he shows up. Create email, so we can directly email Steve Ballmer now. These handheld PCs, they were only intended to be a companion piece to your main computer, but I must say, in some cases, they are quite powerful, like when it comes to writing documents. And I hear that there's still a handful of people who use these computers these days to write their Word documents or diaries or scripts. I think in a lot of cases you would not need your actual notebook or main computer. And lastly, our tasks. Never use that. Create a new one. I'll say, so can we make that high priority? Priority normal? No, it's a high priority. And then I guess you can also set a reminder somewhere. We can definitely set a date. Here's the reminder. We can set, for example, that will be reminded 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 day before the event. So we have two more staple applications. We have the Windows Explorer. All the icons look very familiar from Windows 95. Again, what we have here is Windows 3.11, but they modified it. They added some icons and styles and the taskbar from Windows 95. Then let's delete the Word document. Too easy. So, and since we also just saw the control panel here, let's have a look there. So we have display, illumination, background picture, brightness and contrast, owner, owner's Bill Gates. Of course, he owns everything. And this is data connection, so we can pick a name. This is for modem and PC connection. I have no idea what this is, so this is discharge battery. You have to close all applications before discharging. Yeah, then that's better to do that now. Password, country settings. That's what we've seen at the initial setup. Sound and volume. Okay, why not have the sounds? Okay. Software, or installed programs. There are also still some websites still today where you can download programs for this machine. I will put a link in the description. Calibration and double click speed. Power options. So unfortunately it tells us that the backup battery is extremely weak, so we'll definitely have to replace that. And we have 16 megabytes of RAM. Only 16 megabytes. And we see these 16 megabytes, they have to be shared between the programs, so between execution and actual data like my Word documents or photos. And then you can pick the distribution here. Keyboard. So one more important one here is the Internet Explorer. So the Internet Explorer, of course, you could use it through modem. I'm not sure if it would work with a PC connection. Later on in the year like 2002, I used a Pocket PC, and I remember when it was connected to the PC through USB, I could use the internet connection. Maybe it would work the same here. At least that would be quite convenient. This is a local web page, and yeah, of course, the rest is online. We are not online now, but also, yeah, well, even if we were, I would not bet that these websites are still online. It would, I can guarantee you, it would also totally be overcharged with the modern websites. Everybody's favorite, Solitaire. Okay, how does it work? Works pretty smooth. There are some other applications that we have not looked into. There's, for example, a sound recorder, but I must say the quality of the microphone is absolutely horrifying, so it's good to skip that. But overall, yeah, I'm feeling quite nostalgic to see this Windows 95 interface and all these features that back then maybe some of us used, or maybe some of us always wanted to buy, but we could never afford such a device. And of course, there's also plenty of third-party applications. There's, for example, even a SimCity 2000 version for this computer, and it looks really good. I'm sure it was a great toy back then. Guys, I hope you enjoyed our short trip back into the late 90s. In the grand scheme of things, unfortunately, these handheld PCs, they just remain a footnote. Footnote in IT history. They were superseded shortly thereafter by these pocket PCs. And when we have a comparison here, they actually fit into your pocket. I used such a small guy back in school, but I must also admit it was not too practical, so it was just for fun. I was just a tech enthusiast. And that was around the year 2004. Shortly thereafter, Windows Mobile came out, and then the first PDAs that had actual phone technology. So you could go online. And then we all remember in the year 2007, finally the iPhone was released, and then the avalanche of smartphones started. Yeah. So what else can I say? Enjoy using your technology today, because someday all of what we have now will be retro tech.